Hey, there you are. I'm Fred Reed. I'm from CNY Live. This past week we had a great time sitting down with James and Julie from the Listening Room on Burnett Ave. And we're going to bring you that interview in just a second. But I want to remind everybody that starting this Sunday, December 16th, the voting for your favorite bartender will start. That's the voting, not the nominating. So get out there, vote. Then after you're done voting, run down to your favorite bartender and let him know you shared the love and voted for him on CNY Live. Right now, let's take it to the Listening Room. How are you folks today?
We're excellent. Thank you so much for coming out.
Why don't you guys give us a little background of why you decided to mess up your whole life and do this? I mean, create this.
That's very accurate, actually.
It certainly is.
Well, a few years ago, I went to a listening room style show for the first time at the Borodino Grange Hall, which is out past Skaneateles. And it was the first time I'd ever attended a show like that, where the focus really was 100% on the artist. It's an old church, so the acoustics are wonderful. It's a beautiful space. And it was Mike Powell and Dusty Pascal and Tim Herron. And it was just, I was really moved by the whole experience. And I thought, wow, there really should be more spaces like this, and I would love to do something like that in town. Which led to my business partner and I doing a small series a few years ago. We did it in a restaurant in Armory Square, and that was just a tricky financial situation. It wasn't really viable to do. But I always kind of had it in the back of my head that how great would it be to have a space where we could offer that on a regular basis. And I think also there's a lot of frustration on the part of artists where they want to get their original songs out and not just play cover bands and not compete with television sets and quick draw and a lot of noise and chatter. And the space kind of found us, actually.
I did notice there are no televisions.
No, and there will not be.
Besides a nice little background sound when probably nothing's playing. You have a lot of furniture here. However, it's not set up where everybody's sitting here facing.
Right.
So it seems like really relaxed. I read somewheres about it being like somebody's living room.
Yeah, we wanted to feel that comfortable. We wanted to feel like you're hanging out in your friend's living room and you're just listening to some great music. We are able to change the setup a little bit. We can seat more people if we arrange this into rows. So when that happens, if we're trying to get more people in here, we'll lose the coffee tables and the end tables, and we have chairs we can bring in. So it will be more rows lined up with an aisle in the middle.
Excellent. So I see this. I'm kind of focusing on this part, but there's a lot more to this. But I see your stage setup over there. It's bigger than what I actually thought when I saw what you're doing online. 5-piece bands, limitations to what size bands are playing, or are you sticking with acoustic?
I want to do trios at the most.
Okay.
And the idea is if we do like a jazz type of night or something like that, we want brushes, low key. We have 2 apartments upstairs, and the idea is to keep it reasonable and just I don't need loud rock. There's plenty of places in town that do loud rock,
And we love that.
and
We're
I love
big
that.
fans.
I'm in a cover band locally. I do that type of stuff. So it's nothing about singling out musicians or style of music. It just is what's going to work for our space, and that's what we're trying to get across. Some of these more regional singers, songwriters, Americana stuff. Just the focus being on acoustic-based music.
It could be a nice location for CD release parties and stuff like that as well, too, for some of the artists around town.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that was the idea going into it.
So, besides us sitting here and watching great bands play and music going on and everything, you guys offer some other stuff that's kind of special that, if I understand right, isn't really available around here until January.
Well, exactly. We are open at 7 o'clock in the morning during the week. We are a coffee house. But we're not planning on roasting our own beans. And we've got a lot of great roasters all around town that are readily available, and we wanted to offer something that was a little bit different. So we will be a multi-roaster, which means we'll be rotating in just roasters we love from other areas. So you'll be able to catch different things at different times. Hopefully find your new favorite coffee.
Excellent. What type of food might you be offering, or will you have any type of food?
Well, we don't have a kitchen, so it is going to be a very limited menu. It's going to be, during the day we'll have baked goods to go with the coffee. We're going to have a small selection of sandwiches, 2 or 3 per day. We'll have soup, And then in the evening, it's going to be limited to things like cheese plates and charcuterie platters. So simple.
Perfect. Well, it's like, you're not going to go over to your friend's house and have them cook you dinner.
No, but you
Hang out in
probably
the
want
living
some
room.
cheese and crackers.
There you go, exactly. So along with the cheese and crackers, what goes specifically with that, Bud?
Wine and whiskey. Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Salute. Salute.
Don't look, Mom.
Yeah, focus. We're going to try and get into some decent bourbons and whiskeys. Julie's a fan of. We're looking at the tequilas, some vodkas. Things. This is not going to be a shot bar. We're not going to have a bazillion flavored vodkas and the drink of the month. That appeals to the younger crowd. We'd like to focus on a nice, quiet vibe here. So we plan to keep the selection in that vein, classic cocktails, some nice, neat, just some, maybe some upper end stuff, but right middle of the road stuff. A couple nice offerings once in a while that I get my hands on, but just some relaxed. Just want to keep the atmosphere relaxed. I don't want it to turn into a big, nightclub scene that's not in our plan.
Yeah, we got enough of those right now, so
There's
that's
plenty.
Good.
Yes.
Just sitting here, it's very relaxing. It is a nice atmosphere.
Oh, good. So it's working.
It's working. As long as nobody else. As long as So tell me a little bit about your background. So you had mentioned you're in a cover band, and you yourself, though, what's your background in, and what kind of drove you to do something like this?
Well, I've got a background in marketing and hospitality and event planning, and I have booked bands for other local businesses before. So I've kind of dabbled in all these things. It's sort of a culmination of everything that I've done, up until now. Basically, I really like putting on events, and I like the whole hospitality angle, and I'm very passionate about live music. So this is kind of a vehicle to tie all those things together.
And your background, you mentioned a cover band and some other things that you do.
Yeah, I've been in the corporate world for I'm going on 25 years now with Verizon. I've actually been dealing with that for a good chunk of my life. The music part of it, I'm a guy that's played in bands since I was 15, 16 years old. I've gone from metal to southern rock to some acoustic stuff. So I'm in the tail end of my a journey down that road, I guess you would say. So it's always there. That's the funny thing. Every time that you stop, you take a break, you try to get out and just like, all right, I'm gonna refocus. It always comes back to you. When that stuff is in your blood, it kind of stays there. So this being the next logical step for me also is to help bring some music into the culture here. That's kind of, I want to say lacking, because there's a lot of great venues doing the stuff that we already do here locally. I just think it's time to kind of expand the horizons a little bit here, right here in town. Armory has got that whole scene going on. You've got a blues scene that's here. I think the really Americana-ish focus on that singer-songwriter thing, it's limited, but I'd like to make this like the place to come get it and to do it. Okay, so it just seems the next logical step for me. And I'm thinking about my retirement options, how I'm going to get out of the daily corporate grind, because 25 years at the same place, you start thinking, all right, I'd like to get out at some point. And hopefully we have enough time to, I will be continuing that during the day, working to fill out my career there, and hopefully we will nurture this into something by the time I'm ready to get out that I can devote full time here, and we can continue with the next step of it.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Not to jump around a little bit, but we mentioned the bourbons, the wines, everything. But for the people who don't want to drink the other stuff, you're going to have craft beers too?
Absolutely. We've got 8 taps, and we'll rotate. We'll have a cider, and we're going to focus mainly on craft beers, I think. We're just getting into picking those things out. But we've also got a lot of non-alcoholic options too, because we're doing the coffee. We'll have cold brew, we'll have espresso, we'll have lattes, and we'll have some bottled, things like Red Jacket, cold pressed juices, and things like that.
Oh, that's perfect.
So you don't have to be a drinker
to enjoy the scene.
to enjoy it. Yes.
So what else? What's the horizon look like? You guys, obviously we're not open yet, but I believe you have a date in January that you're planning on cracking the door.
We are. We're in the full-on sprint to the finish line right now. So it's kind of just going through the list and crossing things off, all the last-minute details. It's lining up vendors and placing our initial orders and getting our supplies in. And then, the last couple weeks before we open are going to be really focused on workflow. How are we producing all this stuff behind in a fairly small space in a very efficient way? We've got to move people through as quickly as we can. So that's going to be a big focus. We're going to be hopefully spending a lot of time in training.
Well, training's important, especially for taking care of the stage and the bar and everything else. You guys went through a lot. I mean, this has been going on for how long, you said?
It's coming up on 2 years,
2 years.
actually,
Okay.
which isn't all. Some of that was that when we started the process, I had a very intense full-time job, and I left in the spring, partly so that I could really. We got to the point where I really had to focus a lot of attention on it, or it was going to push out another year, which we didn't want to do. So. But the permit process is pretty intense. If you're opening up a retail store, it's not too bad. But for a business that has food and alcohol and entertainment, that seems to be the trifecta of really difficult things to make happen. So we're not totally through that yet. But it's a lot. A little business like this, it requires something like 8 or 9 completely separate permits. And this is zoned to be a restaurant. So. It was a lot more challenging than I anticipated.
After your challenges are over and the doors open, what's the future look like? Where do you just want to have this one, like you say, for your retirement? Do you want to expand the space or do other things like this in other places?
Yes.
What kind of dreams you got? Oh, okay, that's it.
Yes,
We're all
everything.
set. That was quick. We're all done.
I think it's just going to evolve into what it's going to be. I mean, I'm not opposed to anything at this point. If this becomes the thing and it becomes successful, supports itself, and that's as big as it gets, I'll be happy with that. Can we eventually break the cafe and the night club, the nighttime thing into 2 separate facilities? Maybe. Can we get to a 200-seat room next? We'll just see what. The key thing is will the community support events? Funkin' Waffles has made some very good strides in ticketing events, okay, which I'm a firm believer in. You can go anywhere in this town to see multiple bands any night for free anywhere, but can you take that chance and spend $10 on a regional touring artist or a national touring artist that you don't particularly know that much about? But if the reputation of the place is, they put decent people in there, it's usually a good show. That's where we're hoping that this goes, and from there, will that get support enough to make it to the next step? So I guess it's more what the community wants. I know what I want. I just want to bring good music in that I care about and want to expose people to. Does the town want that? Do people here care to support that and get into that kind of event? I guess I'm not sure. I really don't know.
Well, I think it's there. It's just a matter of getting the word out, and it's beating the word. I think there's a ton of people that want to see. They will go and see your regular cover bands. It's enjoyable. It's a great thing to have. And then there's sometimes you want to break out and see something new. And $5-10 truthfully, it isn't a lot really to ask. Considering,
it's a drink or two.
Yeah, it's a drink or two. And one less drink means you can drive home that night, or why not just have a coffee?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think, but it's important that the community support the local and the regionals.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you're right. I don't think it's a lot to ask.
Yeah, it's and again, there's no shortage of that in this town.
No, there isn't.
We have a lot of talent here.
There's a ton of talent. I go out multiple nights and support a lot of my friends and just good bands that I don't necessarily know the people, but I found a lot of good stuff, and there's plenty of that here. That's all. We don't need to give it another outlet of that kind. I would like to just take it to the next step.
Yeah. I think this is a great start, and I know you guys are going to have a good time. So, for more information as we get closer to the day the doors unlock for business, people can find information out on Facebook.
Yep, we have a pretty active Facebook page, and I also have kept a blog going to document our whole process.
And that's on.
It's at listingroom443.com. And I'm blogging pretty regularly about our progress. And those updates are also shared to Facebook, and we've got an Instagram account as well.
Great. I do know that you are very active in it. You see a lot of people say, I'm going to blog about my business, and they do it once, and then 2 years later it's the same thing. But I noticed there's almost daily or at least weekly stuff going up, which is important. And it's great that you're getting that word out and letting people know this is happening. What else do you want to tell our followers and our watchers while I get a drink here? Take it away.
We want to create a sense of community. I think is a really important thing for us. We want this to be a very comfortable, welcoming place for people to kind of hang out, and maybe a home base for different musical projects and things like that. But we're also open to the idea of it not being just bands. It could also be a book reading if we had an author come, or maybe it's a place for a roundtable discussion about an issue that's important to city neighborhoods. I would love to get into some things like that, or maybe even offer some classes from here. I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot of fun avenues to go down if we're not trying to be the late night loud bar, and we're not. So, but I think there's a lot of other fun directions that we can go in.
Oh, that's perfect. Your opening date is January, is what you're
We
planning.
are shooting for January 7th, which is a Monday. And we'll do some dry runs with family and friends the weekend prior to practice and make sure everybody knows what's going on.
Okay. So shows will also be listed on Facebook. It'll be listed on listeningroom443.com.
Correct.
And ticket links will all be there.
Well, and of course, we'll have them listed on CMI Live.
Well, of course. Why didn't I say that? See what happens, Mom? See?
Background in marketing.
Perfect. I want to thank you guys for working hard to make this happen, because I'm excited to see it open. I'm really glad you guys had us down and come down and talk to you.
Thank you so
very
much. We really appreciate
For
it.
spending some time with us.
Cheers.
Cheers to you guys. Cheers. Bottoms up, Mom.